Well, check your time with ours. It's gone 7 o'clock Central African time. Thank you for staying with us here on Pan-African Morning. If you have just joined us, I'm your host, Audrey Chimwanda-Thwala, taking you through your favorite breakfast show as we take a look at all the stories from South Africa and across the continent, as well as international news. We'll take a focus on arts and culture a little bit later on in the hour on our bulletin. For now, though, we'll have a rehash of our headlines in case you missed them when we started the bulletin. Quite a number of stories that we'll be covering today. From the IEC, the projects that the President is embarking on economic recovery, and the issues to do with land from Minister Didiza has also alluded to that. We'll get into those stories in detail, as well as our headlines. We'll start with the first one: economic freedom fighters and parents clash in Brackenfell High School. Well, that was last week. Now we have a guest that is on standby. That's Miss Mukwena. She's speaking to us virtually from Everton. As we approaching local government elections, we look to speak to residents on grassroots level so we can understand some of the challenges that they're experiencing when it comes to social service delivery. I beg your pardon. Ms. Mukwena, very good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Audrey. Good morning to you.
Well, thank you for joining us. You're sounding a bit soft. I hope we'll be able to fix that sound issue in just a moment. But perhaps you could talk to us about the challenges that you're experiencing. I know that we've had to quickly come to you as your battery is about to die. Electricity appears to be an endemic problem in your area. Is this being addressed at any level at all within your community?
Yeah, Audrey, we have had quite a lot of challenge with regards to our municipality here at Mfuleni, because some residents don't have electricity for close to 3 years. And here in my area, we are going for 12 months in December the 19th. And we've been talking to our councillors and everybody else. We are being hit from pillar to post, and nobody is taking the initiative to help us as their customers. We've been to ESCOM, we've been all over, and nobody is just coming across.
So it is said that your municipality owes ESCOM a huge amount of money, a huge debt, and this is why most of the areas in your community has been cut off, why electricity has been cut off. Do you have any details pertaining to that?
We only hear this and that, but as we read the news and follow the news, it is said that 2.1 billion municipalities owing the water, the city water. So now when we go and ask, are you people paying? They don't give us, and instead when we want meetings with the mayor and everybody else, they don't actually come to our rescue. We are so frustrated as the residents at the end of the day, because nobody is taking charge, nobody is taking any authority on their level of their positions. We are being put from pillar to post. And hence, every citizen here in the Val, they are so angry. We all are so angry, and we feel that the upcoming election, we are just not going to vote, you understand? Because we feel that when we vote locally, we are enriching somebody else's pocket. That's how the citizens are feeling here all over.
Yeah, I can understand your pain and frustration, ma'am. Can you talk us through or paint a picture for us just how difficult it is to live without electricity and how you get by to make sure that you are able to have warm water in the morning when you take a bath and you're able to cook your meals? What exactly do you resort to?
Audrey, you have no idea. We've been so frustrated up until you deal with your emotions, up until you are like accepting. And by accepting, it's like you are accepting what somebody did wrong in their authority of work of line. You understand? It is somebody who didn't do their job. Now, remember that when you speak of Val, the community here, it is so poor. Our people are sidelined. Our people are not being taken care of. Our people even your voice, they hardly hear your voice. They hardly listen. On the 14th of October, we had a march to the mayor's in Vanabale Park. The success of the march is, we had all the organizational parties, people marching with us. And some of us, we are just activists. I don't belong to any political party. But it is so frustrating because the community of Mfulen, it is so poor. We had people who have nothing at the end of the day for them to buy paraffin, for them to buy, like the solar system. We have the community that is so poor, the community that is depending on begging, you understand? From waking up, Audrey, it is such a hassle. And when you have small kids that goes to school, it is more of a hassle to you. Winter time, we've had such a challenge. Now it's becoming warmer. At least we can, when it's warmer, things are better. Let me put it like that. But it is not better because it is such a frustration on a daily basis. Our people are being sidelined by our Mfulen municipality, and people are so angry, Audrey, to the level where you won't even believe it. That's how people are angry. People are so angry here at Mfulen.
I really empathize with you, ma'am. Those challenges are basic needs that, every citizen in South Africa should be able to be afforded. Issues of electricity, especially 26 years after democracy. You say your leadership is despondent. You do not even know who to speak to. I know that as residents, you had a protest march a few days ago. That has not yielded any results. So what now? What is the next step? Do you just give up? Do you have any other avenue that you can try and explore, especially such as people such as yourselves in the community that are activists?
Audrey, what I can tell you is we go to the local radio stations, and it's only one radio station that have listened to us and where we have tried to conscientize the people. And let me tell you that here we are dealing with people who have enriched their pockets, people who are rich, people who have money to do anything that they want, and us as the poor communities, we are scared, and some of our people have received the death threats. It is so frustrating, Audrey, because we don't really have leadership in Mfulen. That's all I can say. We have no leadership at all, because we have tried all the levels, but now by going to the local radio station, people are being conscientized. People are aware of what is happening, and people are so bitter at the end of the day, and they feel that they will never, ever vote for the ruling party. That's how angry the people are.
So local government elections next year are meant to address issues such as those and the leaders that you as the residents elect into power. I know when we started the conversation, you spoke about resorting to not voting, but perhaps do you think it's important that you actually raise your voice and make sure that your voice is heard through the ballot paper by voting? And if it means you change the leadership or, you hold someone accountable. Yes.
Of course. But currently, politics in South Africa are so like a game, a mind game or whatsoever. Okay, let me say probably it's politics around the world that are like that. But I believe people of Mfulen right now, they are ready to take their mark to those leaders that will be there for the communities. Hence, we have started to conscientize the people to know exactly what it goes. Remember, Audrey, when you're talking of Val, you are talking of the place whereby all the massacres happened. Many massacres happened in the Val. Now, we still have the kind of people that are voting with the emotional vote, especially for the ruling party. Because why? They felt that their brothers, their mothers, their parents, their sisters, they died for for the people, you understand? Hence, people are still casting those emotional votes. Now, by going to the local radio station, we are trying to conscientize the people that you can't plant a seed that won't bear any fruits at the end of the day. It is your mark. When you go and vote, it is your mark. That, remember that when you put that your pen in the ballot paper, it is that mark that you are putting somebody on their pocket for them to become millionaires. You understand? We are conscientizing the people to know exactly what are they voting for, and that they will be putting somebody who will be taking their money for 5 years, and hence they are frustrated now with electricity and water. Oh, believe you me, it is such a frustrating life. It is such a frustrating life, especially to that community that do not have anything. Most of our youth is not working. Most of our youth, they are drinking and smoking. It is all out of frustration. You understand? Now, there you go, you find people like us who are trying to preach to these people, and those that have money in their pockets are trying to stop us in anyhow. You understand? It is so frustrating. Wherever you go, you have to watch your back. But we have said whatever come for us, let us come, because the community have confirmed to us that we are behind you guys. We are with you guys. You must hear the talks when the people talk. It could be in a taxi, it could be anywhere you walk, in the mall. People are talking so nasty about the ruling party. People are so frustrated at the end of the day, Audrey.
Yes. Well, Ms. Mokoena, I hope you continue to raise your concerns, and I can assure you that as Galaxy Universal Network, we are happy to be able to shed a light on those issues that you're going through. And I know that, part of our viewership involves different political party leaders who will be privy to what you are talking about today. And I hope that, it forces them to act as, this is not a way to live, of course. Thank you for speaking to us. I know your battery is about to die. And we would like to preserve it, again, as you're going through these electricity issues. So we'll have to leave it there for now.
My battery is about to die, yes, because of no electricity.
Precisely.
But now, you know what? We will conquer this. As long as the people of Mfuleni do listen to us when we speak via the local radio station, and we will...
That's Ms. Mokoena there from Mfuleni, talking to us about the issues that they're having on the ground. Service delivery, they have not had electricity, some of the areas, for more than 3 years. And the area that she particularly comes from, they've been without electricity for 12 months now. They say the leadership is despondent. They're not responding to their issues. As we know that the municipality is currently under administration. The council is not working, so they're not able to solve their issues. Well, they say that they are going to be putting their power into their hands as they go to the ballot box next year to choose leaders that actually listen to them and bring solutions to their problems. In other news now, the Western Cape Premier Alan Wind and his Education Minister Debbie Schaffer were hosted by Brackenfell High School in a meeting yesterday. Now, this follows a confrontation between the EFF and parents on Monday. The EFF was protesting against alleged whites-only party for matriculants when they were confronted by parents outside of the school gates. There was tight security on the premises following the incident, which President Cyril Ramaphosa and political parties, as well as the South African Human Rights Commission, have condemned. Meanwhile, the EFF has vowed to intensify its campaign against alleged racism at Brackenfell High School in the Western Cape. Schaffer says the event was a private party and warned that if the EFF continues its protest action, then she will approach the courts to interdict them from disrupting the grade 12 examinations. Economic Freedom Fighters Western Cape Provincial Chairperson Nosipo Makamba Bocha expressed shock at the violence meted out to its members and says they went to the school following complaints received from various parents at the school over alleged racist practices. Police say they arrested a 39-year-old man for discharging an air gun and are investigating a case of public violence. Residents in the area say they were shocked by EFF actions as they have never experienced racism in the school previously. Meanwhile, President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for an investigation to be conducted on the matter. Well, Pan-African Morning, we'll take another short break. Do stay with us. When we come back, we go to the green couch. We have our health coach in studio, Mr. EPHRAIM MAROBELA, will be joining me, and we'll be having a very helpful topic that you at home don't want to miss on. So do stay with us. We'll be back briefly.
Make massive moves.
Deceiver! There isn't any time to waste then.
We can't save everyone in this war.
One moment, that's all we got.
You're locked in here with me.
Make massive moves with STARSAT.
This is just the beginning.
Make massive moves.
Get out! Get out of this place!
I love you. Do you love me?
Yes.
I like this. Someone stole from me yesterday. It was not my fault now. Eh?
Leave me alone. Blast your head.
No, don't shoot, sir, please.
Please don't kill us. I'll give you anything you want.
Make massive moves with STARSAT. Make massive moves.
The space race has already started. Russia had got the first object into space.
The coast is as wild today as it was when Europeans settled the continent.
Enormous beasts with enormous thirst. The teams are primed and ready.
They got the first animal into space, and they got the first person.
Time to see what the boys can do.
Make massive moves with STARSAT.
This is not your ordinary cooking show.
The show where we do all things amazing, all things African.
Over here, we educate.
Avocado seed, it lowers cholesterol, controls blood sugar and blood pressure.
We heal.
Impepho is good for the immune system as well. This here cures sugar, the blood sugar, blood pressure.
It's all about organic conversation.
So in here, you've got yourself a nice vitamin C, you've got garlic, which is your natural antibiotic.
Oh, wow.
I can't wait.
Great one.
We entertain. And purely African food.
And this is how you finish it up. With a slice of lemon, you just dig in and you eat and you get healthy.
Welcome to the home kitchen.
Coming soon on Galaxy Universal Network, Channel 500 on StarSat.
Allen past the chain. Make massive moves.
Oh my God!
Oh! Knocked out! And WBC Continental America's champion.
That was delightful.
Make massive moves with STARSAT. Make massive moves.
I feel confident. I feel like I can take on the world.
So you're telling a story through your clothes.
Such a professional, you wouldn't even know.
Criticism is one of my biggest motivations.
Darling, you want to be a model?
Like, oh my God.
I'm glistening.
The fashion industry needs people with beautiful faces. I would pay thousands of dollars for that look.
Make massive moves with STARSAT. Make massive moves.
How can you say that?
That is what it is.
Your mother eloped with someone else.
I just think this is such a genius idea. I think it's amazing.
I can be happy.
It's inside you. It's inside of all of us.
It's about cooking smart that are nutritious and delicious.
President Trump acknowledging the coronavirus death toll could be significantly higher.
We don't want to do this.
There is nothing you can take.
Jerusalem.
Surviving roommates scared.
The heavyweights arrive.
Inside, finds Petulia, blocked by Jane.
This is the will of God.
Make massive moves with STARSAT.
Still a Pan-African morning. Tell us where you're watching us from. Would love to hear from you. Go ahead and engage us. I'm Audrey Chimwanda-Thwala, taking you through all the news and details. As promised before the break, we have our special guest on the green couch as usual. Our health coach is in the building, Mr. EPHRAIM MAROBELA. He'll be talking to us about various issues that we need, that we require, and shaping our mind and our body to make sure that we are the best version of ourselves. Mr. MAROBELA, welcome back. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Ms. Audrey, and good morning to the viewers as well.
The last time we're speaking about alcohol, what are we talking about today? And with quite a bit of reaction from people. You know, the issue of alcohol always gets reactions from a lot of people, particularly now, the period that we're getting into a festive season. What are we delving into today?
Festive season is a season where people indulge themselves so much into this drug. So we thought, let's continue this topic, because the main aspects that we were not going to be able to cover in one session, only one episode. So today we want to try to cover the following within a short space of time that we have. We want to cover the reasons why people start to drink alcohol. When do they normally start? How?
I just had a flashback as soon as you said when they normally start of my own experience, but it's fine. Yes. Yes.
What, and most importantly, why do they start doing that, or do they start, indulging in that? What we're going to try to cover is that we're going to cover things that most people go through. I know there'll be people that are watching that, no, this doesn't happen to me, this doesn't happen to me. Of course, it's not for everybody.
It's not uniform, yes.
Yes, everybody goes through a different route for them to where they find themselves at presently. So with that being said, is that people, not everybody is born not drinking alcohol. Before we started drinking alcohol, we never used to drink alcohol, and we used to have fun in different ways that we used to have fun in. Now, many times, due to the way people live, when you see something everywhere, it tends to be normalized. And because it's so normalized, people, especially kids, they learn or they follow adults. What adults do, they think whatever adults do, or most adults do, they think is correct or is right. Alcohol is one of the most accessible drugs all over the world. And that's why it says more than 80% of people in the world have experience about that. And most of them, they regret. Now, let's try to make it a point like we niche it so that people can try to understand. And I'm not saying that people are alcoholics. We are saying drug as alcohol, what are the challenges that it causes, right? As you said, that we're going to cover different aspects of this. When do people start? Normally, people start when they go to, to parties or going to celebrate, because people have associated celebration with alcohol, and it's a very sad situation because before we used to celebrate.
Yeah, but even before back before we even colonized, I'm sure our ancestors or the people before us, our forefathers, used to make traditional beer. That was part of our culture in our celebration, or in how we speak to the people that are in a different realm that have passed away. So it really is part of our culture as well, isn't it?
Not necessarily.
Okay, not everyone's culture, of course.
Yes, you see, there are countries where alcohol is not easily accessible. There are countries where alcohol is forbidden, totally.
That's true.
It's only available in the black market. And if you look at those countries, with regard to the progress that they're achieving, it's at another level. People are able to live better quality lifestyle than those countries where you find people so exposed to alcohol. Now, look at festive season that is coming now. People who are not drinking, most of people who are drinking now, they started during this period. People say, you know what, you've worked so hard, you need to have fun, then you need to start, celebrating. People need to understand that if you live with elders most of the time, most of them have experienced that particular drug. And they'll tell you, if you live with the people who love you dearly, that please, my child, don't you ever go into this particular drug. It's a mission, it is costly, it has cost us so many things. And without us even if to divulge into or go into further into, explain to people the dangers of alcohol that it brings to your health. I mean, it attracts more than 30 silent killer diseases, amongst other things that we all know due to accidents that are happening there.
Yes.
It affects the quality of life that people live. It brings so much misery to many people. As much as people can say, you know what, when I had a drink, I feel different. Of course, you'll feel it different. You'll feel different because it's a drug. There's no way you're going to take a drug and feel the same. Right? Because now it's a drug and it changes your mechanism of how your body functions. So that's why I'm saying, and I like the way you said it, because I know it's a very sensitive topic. I mean, like many times people will ask you when you go to a function or you go to a party, any celebration, they want to toast, they want to do different things using alcohol. If you're going to find yourself in that situation, I can tell you, they'll ask you why you don't do that. Why don't you drink? But the question that people never ask is that why do they drink? Ask them what do they drink. They'll never tell you what they drink. I mean, many elders that do, if you've got elders, you're fortunate to live with elders, you ask them, is there any benefit to this? They tell you there's none. There's no benefit, and it affects your health drastically, and it is costly, and the challenges that it brings is very, very serious.
I've heard some doctors say a glass of red wine every once in a while actually helps with your metabolism or the way your blood flows. No, this is true. I mean, we can Google this. As long as it's not in excess. But a glass of red wine every once in a while helps you with certain things. Of course, I'm not giving anyone any medical advice out there, but I'm just saying what I've heard and what I've read from doctors. So perhaps it's also to do with how much of it you take, because people want the freedom of choice as well, as adults, to be able to do what they want to do and not be prescribed, strict rules on how to enjoy their lives.
The purpose of us being here is to empower people. There's a lot of myths that have been thrown around, and people, because it's so much thrown around, people end up thinking that it is true. It's a fallacy.
Which part is a fallacy?
That alcohol, wine specifically, it's good for your health. It's a fallacy. Let me make an example. Think of how many people in this world that have never tasted alcohol, they've never died. They're still alive, they're healthy, right? There's so many foods, you call them nutritious dense foods, that will give you more benefits than that alcohol that they say you need. Another thing is the following. Because it's on Google, it doesn't mean that it is correct. There's nothing that you can put on Google and Google says, no, this is not right, so they remove it. Look at things that people say on Google. There are so many things that people say on Google. The only time you're going to know something that is really a fact and is true is when you read from things like encyclopedias, where information that's going to be put in there is don't just put stuff in there. Another thing that you need to remember is the following. Some people are out there promoting products because they're getting paid to promote those products.
Yes, the issue of capitalism, of course, it's quite an issue there. Unfortunately, we'll have to leave it there. Mr. MAROBELA, they're joining us here on Pan-African Morning. The dangers of alcohol, how it starts, how to look out for the signs when you start seeing, people around you, how we're socialized to believe that people cannot have fun without drinking alcohol, the repercussions of that, and how to avoid it. That's our health coach there on the Green Culture. Of course, we'll have him every Wednesday as we continue this topic. So many things to ventilate that we'll be continuing with our conversation. We'll take a very short break. Thereafter, we continue with our news and updates. Do tell us what you think, how you deal with alcoholism, and when you started, and if you think you want to stop or not. This is Pan-African Morning.
Make massive moves.
Bible is human and divine.
It's important for us to remember.
And I'm part of God's story.
Yeah, mama, mama, hey.
God is healing you.
God says what he means, and he means what he says.
God is good.
I am very grateful to God. I am healed. Amen.
Make massive moves with STARSAT. Make massive moves.
Wow.
Let's go. Come on. We can be back by morning.
Woogie, woogie, woogie. Who are you?
I'm the boss.
Really?
Really?
Yeah! Awesome! Totally! Yeehaw!
Very funny.
Make massive moves with STARSAT. Make massive moves.
You're the best fighter in China.
Give me the Emperor's sword, and I'll spare your life.
Shisha sector's gone too far.
Make massive moves with STARSAT. Make massive moves.
How can you say that?
That is what it is.
Your mother eloped with someone else.
I just think this is such a genius idea. I think it's amazing.
I can be happy.
It's inside you. It's inside of all of us.
It's about cooking smart that are nutritious and delicious.
President Trump acknowledging the coronavirus death toll could be significantly higher.
You don't want to do this.
There is nothing you can take.
Jerusalem.
Surviving roommates scared. The heavyweights arrive.
Inside, finds Petulia, blocked by Jane.
This is the will of God.
Make massive moves with STARSAT.
Very good Pan-African morning to all of viewers across the continent. Thank you for staying with us and for choosing Pan-African Morning. I'm Audrey Chimwanda-Thwala, your host. For the next couple of hours, we continue to give you news and updates. On the Green Couch, we have another special guest. Ms. MAROBELA is joining us. She's from Project Lead Migration International, correct?
Internews.
Internews, yes, thank you for that correction. Thank you for joining us. I understand you are training a number of journalists. Talk to us about this project that you're embarking on.
So we are running a project with Internews. Internews is an international non-profit organization that is in over 100 countries. And one of the things that we do is to empower citizens with credible information that they can use to make educated decisions about a number of issues in their country. And one of these issues are human rights issues, including amplifying the voices of the migrant on the migration debate. So what the project that we've been doing in Southern Africa is called Changing the Narrative on Migration in the Region. And it's in response to our life post-COVID-19. I think we're all aware that post-COVID-19, a lot of economies have suffered. Our life has been disrupted in more ways than one. And when people are under pressure, they tend to start othering, start identifying other people as the cause of their suffering. Now, we don't seek to deny that, that the issue of migration is complex, but we seek to actually give relevant people, which are viewers, listeners, readers, information about migration that is not centered around emotional discussion, but around factual issues.
Right. The issue of migration, like you said, is a very sensitive issue. We'll bring it back home, particularly here in South Africa. The debates that we see on social media and how journalists also report on it is important in how they shape the minds of people that consume the news that they produce. How have you found that to be effective, especially here?
So far we've trained over 50 journalists in Southern Africa, and one of the key things that we do in training is to go through the subject of unconscious bias, and going through that subject, reminding people that we are the creatures of habits and of our environment. And it's amazing when you ask all these journalists, even some of them who are migrants themselves in South Africa, when you ask them what is their image of an undocumented migrant, and immediately they jump to the picture of a black man or a black woman, poor, they have, emotions that image involved, sympathy, and it's actually not all true about migrants. They don't even talk about migrants from European countries. They don't talk about a migrant from the Asian countries. The focus is always on the black person coming from certain key countries. Then we start to work with them through that image to say, how was this image built? And how have you learned about this thing? And it's amazing once they start realizing that they have been, because there's so much information to process, they've been just going to stereotype as the first way of framing whatever questions around migration. So there is a lot of education that needs to happen from the journalist itself, and one of the things that we center our training around is conflict-sensitive journalism, because as you know, every day, every story that we cover is often about conflict. It's about someone not disagreeing with one another.
Of course.
And how to
That's what makes news, unfortunately, most of the time.
And how to conduct yourself in that space where people are not agreeing. How do you make sure that you provide a channel for conversation and you hold both people accountable when they start debating? So you hold South Africans accountable when they start making general statement and probe further, but you also hold migrant accountable when they come to the country and say there are something. And the reason that we have put together a network of journalists from all over SADC is that these journalists can able to first check some of the stories, not to take it as the truth, everything that they are told by people who are opposed to migration, or by people who have had to leave their countries because they are facing prosecution because of their gender choices, or because their country, the government has collapsed.
Often when we report about crime as journalists, in whatever country that we're in, people are quite sensitive on when a suspect's nationality is mentioned. What are your thoughts around that?
So it's one of the things that we've actually highlighted to journalists, that the first thing is not about the nationality. The first thing is about the human being and the crime that is caused, that has occurred. Immediately once because we don't say two South African men or a South African man have been arrested for raping a young woman. We don't say that. We say a Zimbabwean has been arrested for doing this. And there must be a reason why we're saying that. And we need to interrogate that reason and ask ourselves if that reason serve us as the country, as the nation. And if that the reason that we use such word, if we conclude that is inciting hate, it's inciting violence, then we need to go back and say, are we highlighting the nationalities because the majority of crime in this country is being committed by people from other countries, or are we highlighting because we now are othering criminals? Right. We're saying there are other criminals that are not worth mentioning in terms of where they're from, but there are criminals that we must always highlight where they're from. So my thing is, I do advise journalists that I do not think that is necessary unless if you look at the crime, you're looking at the trend. If it's trafficking, then you can start associating why it was important to highlight the context of the story.
I know a lot of people, some journalists that could be watching this program are more interested in the training program that you have at your NGO. Could you tell us how it happens as you involve quite a number of journalists? You said you're present in 100 countries. How do you make that happen?
So these particular projects is focused on journalists from SADC countries.
Okay.
So what we do, we put this on different social media platforms. Once we've decided that we're going to be running a training project, whether in the city. So what we did, we started to do main urban cities in South Africa where there's a lot of xenophobic incident and there's a lot of tensions between locals and foreigners. So we did Durban, Cape Town, and Johannesburg. And then what we did, then we look at, who are the feeding countries in the SADC region. So we identified those countries, and then we looked at what journalists in those countries are writing about migration, and that's how we selected journalists from those countries. We started, of course.
Also, you select journalists.
We select journalists. We call for journalists to submit some of the work that they've done around the project, because we actually want people who are truly interested in the subjects of migration. And then what we then did, we started, because of, unfortunately, the travel restrictions around COVID-19, we did a first SADC conference online about 2 weeks ago.
Okay. And
we are now on level 1, and journalists are going to go through the process of doing a COVID test 3 days before they arrive. So the second SADC workshop is going to take place in Johannesburg, and we are quite encouraged about how timely is this project. I think you might know 2 weeks ago, for the first time, the International Organization of Migration and the African Union released a study, a research called Migration in Africa, Challenging the Narrative, which was really aimed at looking at migration using the African lens the continent needs, because if the continent, for example, is going to move towards an African continental free trade area,
yes,
it means there need to be free movement of goods, and with the movement of goods come the movement of person. And then the conversation is starting now within the continent, because if you look at our region, and particularly in South Africa, migrant workers really were the backbone of the economy. This was done, there were processes like your Welela in place way before democracy, where we deliberately went to the SADC countries to look for migrant labor.
Correct.
Because our industries were labor intensive, but I don't think the owners of capital were willing to pay people. So it was migration has been happening around us forever. So what the report by the AU and IOM seeks to do is to dispel the myth that a lot of Africans are crossing borders via seas, that we are all so obsessed with going to Europe or Western countries. In fact, one of the findings of the research is that 80% of Africans that are migrant, they actually travel by land and within the continent.
Wow.
So one of the things that often happen is that we see ourselves in South Africa as the receiving countries, but as a receiving country. But if you look at the trends, it tells you that also South Africa is the third feeding country.
Yes, the first would be, you will correct me if I'm wrong, but it's, I think, a country in the east.
It's at now in Southern Africa is Zimbabwe,
okay.
DRC, and then comes us, and then you start going down to your Malawi, you start going down to your Lesotho, to your Botswana. But one of the myths that is often there, or the narrative around migration in the continent, is often that migrants come to the country and just take away. They take away. We don't focus on the benefit to the receiving country, that while if they're undocumented, migrants do not pay tax, but they still pay VAT. That in fact, as South Africa.
Yes, when they walk into a shop, buy a loaf of bread, they're still paying
they pay
VAT. Yes. And as we're wrapping up this conversation, broadcast journalists also part of this. Are they considered in your selecting which journalists can be a part of your program, or is it just print journalists?
No, we did. No. It's all platforms. We trained bloggers, we trained broadcast journalists, and one of the things with broadcast journalists, when the Human Science Research Council of South Africa did a recent research on xenophobia, they found that people form their ideas about migration through television. The traditional media. Yeah, it's not necessary. We think it's social media. People engage on social media issues, but they still go to traditional media because of the heritage of credibility, and those are the platforms that need to be really careful about what stereotype they push when it comes to migration, and about treating migration subjects as through conflict-sensitive journalism.
Yes, we have a huge responsibility as the media, particularly the broadcast journalists, because what we feed people that consume is normally what they believe. Thank you so much, Madam Mapi Mhlangu, in studio here on the Green Couch from Project Lead Migration Internews. Thank you for speaking to us this morning on Pan-African Morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, we'll take a very short break. Once again, when we come back, we'll take a look at news and updates from South Africa and across the continent. Do stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
Make massive moves.
Deceiver! There isn't any time to waste then.
We can't save everyone in this war.
One moment, that's all we got.
You're locked in here with me.
Make massive moves with STARSAT.
This is just the beginning.
Make massive moves.
Get out! Get out of this place!
I love you. Do you love me?
Yes.
I like this. Someone stole from me yesterday. It was not my fault now. Eh?
Leave me or I blast your head. No, don't shoot, sir, please.
Please don't kill us. I'll give you anything you want.
Make massive moves with STARSAT.
It's 7:45 Central African time. We're coming to you live from our Midrand studios here in Johannesburg, 15 minutes before we hit the top of the hour. But before that, we talk about President Cyril Ramaphosa, who has participated in a high-level meeting on reinforcing multilateralism on Tuesday afternoon. He said that as the government of South Africa, they feel honored to be given an opportunity to participate in the meeting, stating that they have already committed to the principles that are contained in political declaration of the meeting. Ramaphosa says it is through multilateralism that problems that are faced by South Africa can be solved, adding that it calls for the preparedness in terms of health facilities, infrastructures should then be next to erupt after the pandemic. The further assured the audience that South Africa will continue to work with members of this initiative. Here's the president.
Ladies and gentlemen, South Africa is really honored to participate in this high-level event in support of multilateralism. As the countries of the world, we have committed to the principles contained in the political declaration on the 75th anniversary of the United Nations. As we seek practical ways to build back better from the COVID-19 pandemic, we are keenly aware that it is only through multilateralism that we can solve our challenges. The next global emergency should find us better prepared with stronger social protection, health systems, and services for our people. Meeting the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals will be the truest measure of our success. South Africa will continue to work with members of this initiative to improve global health systems, to reduce inequality, and to protect our planet. We will collaborate on building peace and security. We will defend human rights. We will advance gender equality and harness the digital revolution. The United Nations is the foundation of our multilateral system of governance. No other global organization gives hope for a better world to so many people. The UN must be fit for purpose, adequately funded and representative in its decision-making structures. It is in our collective interest that the UN is strengthened as we work together to advance the global agenda for people, planet, and prosperity. I thank you.
Well, just hours after the meeting, Ramaphosa joined the United States and SA Business and Investment Roundtable discussion, whereby he said South Africa is looking forward to strengthening the ties with the newly elected leadership of America. He added that this will go as far as trade relations, as South Africa is the U.S. leading direct investor in Africa.
Been involved in the past few days of electing a new leadership. The United States is a long-standing and valued partner of South Africa, and we look forward to further strengthening our ties of friendship and cooperation with the incoming administration. This Business and Investment Roundtable is taking place at an important time as we are all dealing with COVID-19. Together with countries around the world, both the United
The president also said that as the country, they will be hosting the SA 2023 Investment Conference, that there's a high expectation in terms of participation by U.S. companies and investors. He further said the conference, amongst other things, will be the fast-tracking of measures that will help to reduce international trading costs.
It is this firm foundation that we want to build upon. This is what we want to strengthen as we prepare to host the third South Africa Investment Conference in a week's time. I have no doubt that, as in previous years, there will be a strong showing by U.S. companies and investors at our South Africa Investment Conference. Since our first investment conference in 2018, we've been working steadily and steadfastly to create an enabling environment for both foreign and local companies to thrive in our market. We're focusing on key reforms in the energy, telecommunications, and logistics industries to improve the competitiveness of our economy. We continue to work with industry stakeholders to fast-track measures to reduce the cost of doing business and lowering barriers to entry. Last month, we launched an economic reconstruction and recovery plan to restart our economy after the devastating impact of the pandemic on growth and employment. The plan itself identifies 4 priority intervention areas. The first one is a massive infrastructure build program. Second one is to significantly expand energy generation capacity. And thirdly, to have and launch an employment stimulus through social and public projects. And fourthly, to accelerate industrialization through local production. Even though it has been just a few weeks since the plan was launched, we have long begun work to deliver on the commitments.
Looking further afield now, we take a look at the segment that we like to call Pan-African Africa Wrap here on the program, and this video will present a comprehensive report on the new Volkswagen plant in Ghana, following Ghana's introduction of the automotive development policy. It provides incentives to promote automobile manufacturing in Ghana. A number of global vehicle manufacturers have signed agreements with the state to establish vehicle assembly in the country of Ghana. This is a major breakthrough in Ghana, as this looks to boost the economy, job creation, as well as putting the country on the global market. Volkswagen is a very popular brand to those people that are breaking into the vehicle market and looking to purchase themselves a vehicle as well. Well, it's Pan-African Morning. We take you all the way to Ghana and to the plant that is doing the assembly. Here's a report.
German car maker Volkswagen has started assembling cars in Ghana and is expected to start manufacturing in Nigeria soon. Volkswagen Ghana has begun assembling cars at its premises at the Accra North Industrial Area. The VW Tiguan Highline Plus is the first model they have worked on. It has advanced features like panoramic view, digital dashboard, sensors, etc. with a 2.0 engine. In 2018, the company announced plans to set up plants in Ghana and Nigeria as it continues to expand across Africa. A memorandum of understanding with the government of Ghana was signed when German Chancellor Angela Merkel visited Ghana in August 2018 to begin the process of establishing an assembling plant in the country to serve the West African sub-regional market. The agreement also includes developing a sales and service network in Ghana, as well as establishing a training academy for production and after-sales. In addition, Volkswagen undertook to commence with a feasibility study in Ghana for integrated mobility solutions, which will include a review of the commercial viability of introducing rental, car sharing, ride-hailing and shuttle services by way of a Ghanaian subsidiary of Volkswagen South Africa. In turn, the Ghanaian government agreed to develop a comprehensive Ghana automotive industry policy, which will incentivize vehicle manufacturing in Ghana. This includes a preferential procurement policy for locally assembled vehicles. A memorandum of understanding was also signed with the Nigeria government in 2018. Volkswagen committed itself to expand automaking operations on a step-by-step basis and to turn Nigeria into an automotive hub on the western coast of Africa over the long term. This will include developing a training academy in conjunction with the German government, which will train the initial employees and also provide broader technical training for the community in automotive skills. It is also intended that a comprehensive Volkswagen vehicle and service network is developed in the country, subject to commercial viability. In return, the Nigerian government pledged to accelerate the passage of Nigerian automotive policies. This includes the gradual transition from the importation of used cars to the manufacture and distribution of new passenger vehicles. The car assembling plant of the German car maker, Volkswagen in Ghana, appears set for official opening soon. Officials of the company took some Ghanaian government officials round the plant in Accra as they prepare to officially launch operations later this year. Ghana's Minister for Trade and Industry, Honorable Alan Chiremeton, led the government delegation which paid a working visit to the first phase of the Volkswagen Ghana assembly facility in the North Industrial Area, Accra, early this month. During the visit of the new assembly plant, it was revealed that the company has commenced commercial production under a registered local company, Volkswagen Ghana, and is currently producing 5 Volkswagen models in its Accra plant. These brands include Tiguan, Amarok Pickup, Passat, Polo and Terramont. The CEO of the company informed the Ghanaian minister that the company is planning the grand launching of Volkswagen car models made in Ghana soon. A planned official launch of the plant in March 2020 was called off due to the outbreak of the coronavirus at the time, but it hasn't stopped work from going on. The assembling plant is expected to produce about 5,000 units of vehicles every year, with plans to increase production, depending on the market demand. Last year, Volkswagen CEO for Africa, Mr. Thomas Schaefer, said creating a market in Africa was key for Volkswagen. At the German-Ghanaian Business Council meeting in Berlin last November, Mr. Schaefer said that the second phase of Volkswagen's presence in Ghana will be intensified in 2021. Volkswagen already has a plant in South Africa. It also builds cars in Kenya and recently began to produce cars in Rwanda, where community car sharing is already being offered as an integrated mobility solution and where ride-hailing will also be provided soon. Under its Transform 2025 Plus brand strategy, Volkswagen is strengthening the regions and focusing on new up-and-coming markets. Alongside North and South America as well as China, the Sub-Sahara region plays an increasingly important role. Although the African automotive market is comparatively small today, the region is expected to develop to grow into a big market in the future. The setting up of the Volkswagen plant in Ghana was realized due to the Ghanaian government aggressive policy to attract automobile assembling plants into the country. Following the government's introduction of the Ghana Automotive Development Policy, which provides incentives to promote automobile manufacturing in Ghana, a number of global vehicle manufacturers have signed agreements with the state to establish vehicle assembly plants in the country. The companies include Volkswagen, Nissan, Toyota, and Sinotruck. Volkswagen is the first company to start production at its Accra plant in Ghana. Nissan and Toyota are expected to open their own plants this year. Under the Ghana Automotive Development Policy, Ghana offer car-making companies such as Volkswagen and Nissan tax breaks of up to 10 years. The move to offer such car makers tax breaks is considered an incentive enough to get them to execute their plans. With a staggering $1.8 billion vehicle imports annually in Ghana, of which used vehicles, 5 to 10 years old, constitute about 70%. This puts significant stress on available foreign currency, therefore the state is looking to cut down on imports. Health and environmental impact are other reasons for the Ghanaian government's desire to have vehicles assembled locally. Imported used cars, most of which have been involved in serious accidents or floods, have been named as the possible cause of hundreds of road accidents in the country. Setting up local manufacturing plants in Ghana, according to the government, should grow its economy and create jobs. In a bid to further the implementation of the domestic automotive development policy, government and government-related institutions in Ghana have been ordered to prioritize locally assembled vehicles as their first option when procuring new vehicles for their operations. The directive, which takes effect from July 2020, was given in a letter signed by the government. The order affects ministries, departments and agencies, metropolitan, municipal and district assemblies, as well as state-owned enterprises. According to the Ghanaian government, this policy will not only help industrialize the economy, but will also boost employment, encourage investment, and help government preserve foreign exchange. Despite this new policy by the Ghanaian government being hailed and welcomed, other critics believe it's likely to bankrupt the Kantanka Car Company, which is the only locally manufacturing car company in Ghana and among the few in Africa.
Well, yeah, just before we hit the top of the hour, I just want to say good morning to all our viewers that take the time to interact with us. We certainly appreciate hearing from you. To Sizwe Edward Kibido, who says, good morning, Audrey. Good morning, Africa. Well, Pan-African morning to you, Sizwe. Mission Lovo also spoke to us today. Tumba Wakanguni, morning, Mo Africa. This is a Pan-African morning. I'm watching from the palm of my hand. Thank you for joining us on the program. And Musa Mandla says, morning, people of the soil. Indeed, we are people of the soil. And Sipoma Tlase also says good morning to the team. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. We'll take a very short break as we've approached the top of the hour. We'll be back on the other side. Do stay with us.
This is just the beginning.
Make massive moves.
Get out! Get out of this place!
I love you. Do you love me?
Yes.
I like this. Someone stole from me yesterday. It was not my fault now. Eh?
Leave me or I blast your head. No, don't shoot, sir, please.
Please don't kill us. I'll give you anything you want.
Make massive moves with STARSAT. Make massive